hit the record button. All right, everyone, welcome. Good morning.
Morning. Where did Jenny go?
She'll pop up in a second, I think. I did see. Good morning, Jenny, if you're here. All right, we're experimenting with a little different video and format, so we're going to see how this goes. How is everyone doing? How are we feeling this morning?
I feel good. I didn't quite get my 40 contacts yesterday, but I got more phone conversations than text conversations. So I got to make up for that today.
Beautiful. So talk to me about what was your aha? Like when was the last time you actively tried to get 40 contacts in a day?
Last week. Well, because James Shaw said, I was on a Zoom call with James Shaw a couple of weeks ago, and he said, and Gary said the same thing when in an interview, you got to double what you think you're doing. So if you're making 20, you got to go for 40. But when they said on Bold on Tuesday, it's like, oh, I got to do that. And then my daughter had been here, and she said, she's been around me when I was working, doing other stuff, but she's never sat and listened to me talk to people.
Right.
She said, Mom, you just do it, like, even if it's somebody you don't know, you just kind of make a connection with them. And she said, a couple of times, people hung up on you and you're just like, okay. And I was like, you heard that? And she said, yeah. And that just kind of gave me a little boost. So that helped. That helped. I can talk to people, even if they don't want to talk to me. I'll just go on and talk to the next person. So I had some really good conversations with people yesterday, going through last week, going through the DT, D2, and yesterday there was a Jamie who called about a listing I had a couple of years ago, and it's like, okay, so I'll look her phone number up and it tells me where she lives. So I'll look her address up, and she bought a house like a year after she called me about a house with a teen and somewhere else. And I called her. She called me back and she talked to me for about 20 minutes. And
how about that?
Yeah, and she said, anyway, she ended up, I sent her my business card, and she said, I'm saving your number. And I mean, it was just a good conversation. And she said, we've been here 2 years. We've had issues. We're going to get them fixed, and we're going to move one day. But I'm kidding. I put her in my database, and I am going to stay in front of her.
Right. And there's probably two things that happened there. Number one is she had a, let's just say, less than amazing, outstanding experience with her agent.
Yeah.
Right. And secondly, you didn't give up. And more than likely, that agent hasn't been communicating with that person systematically. And therefore, you were able to claim or reclaim that person, and now it's yours. And now you're in charge of communicating with them systematically, so some other realtor doesn't take them from you.
Well, I like, shame on me, because she called about it. I stored her in there as Jamie called about this address. That was 3 years ago. That house went under contract within a week. And, she's just been floating around there in my phone. So I haven't, shame on me for not initiating more contact with her. I could have represented her buying that house if I would have done it. But I was real busy 3 years ago. So it's like, I don't have time to do that. But you got to make time to do it.
That's right. That's exactly right. My biggest aha yesterday, it's been a while since I've actively tried to go make 40 contacts. And I'll be honest with you. And I almost don't really count. I text so much. I have a hard time it would take me 2 hours to go back and figure out how many texts I sent. Right. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, I've probably sent 1,500 texts. but that's just because like my assistant's helping me with that, and that's happening without me really moving my fingers. So I made 57 telephone calls yesterday so that I could talk to 21 people. And I booked 3 appointments and I held 2, and I added 2 more people to Bold. So here's the thing. It took me longer than I would have expected. And that's why we have to try this to see, okay, if I'm going to do this work, like how long is it going to take? Because I need to know that so that I don't overbook myself, and so that I can give myself a fighting chance of winning, right? Because I want to win. Does that make sense? Okay, let's just do a real quick reminder. Reporting. Let's talk about reporting for 2 seconds. If you have not completed April's reporting, please do so. Please, please, please do so. Okay. I believe everyone on the call has done that. So thank you. All right. So I'll look one more time, but I think we're probably ready to close out April. And I'll give you guys the final numbers a little bit later on. But it looks like we pended 15 deals, took 11 listings, went on 71 appointments. I mean, we had a pretty good month. So congratulations, guys. All right, May, I want to do something slightly different. Okay. What I'm realizing is that in the way that I've been asking you guys to do goals, it's not giving me it's not giving me the full picture. And what I'm going to ask you to do now is, on a weekly basis, we're going to report twice. We're going to report once at the beginning of the period with your goals. I sent out a link through, same link, and you go down to the May tab, and I'll clean it up now that April's done. But you go down to the May 1 through May 10 tab, and in the light green, I want you to fill out what your goals are for that particular week or 10-day period, whatever it is for that time period. And then in the line above it, that light gray line is where you'll actually put the actuals once that time period's complete. Okay, all the categories are the same. Okay, remember, if you're participating in Bold, they're asking you to do 200 contacts. And technically, if you're looking at it in this particular time, it's a 10-day period, so it's even more. I just cleaned it up that way so we could keep the weeks organized. So that first tab's going to be a little extra time. So make sure you look at the exact dates, okay? So please take a minute today to put your goals in. And I've got the formula set up where we will see what are the sums of all of our goals, and then with the sums of all of our actuals, and see what the difference is. So we can help each other not only stay on target independently, but also stay on target as a team. Cool? Okay, any questions on that? Beautiful. Okay, don't forget A and W, T and J. Those are your assignments for this week. If your last name ends in A as in Apple, W as in Wilson, T as in Tom, J as in Jerry, those are the last names of the people that you should be reaching out to during this week. If you're like Kathy and you want to throw in somebody whose first name starts with J, do it. Every time she does that and messes up, she gets another appointment. Isn't that right?
Almost.
Almost. All right. Talk to me a little bit. We got a couple people on the call that weren't on the call yesterday. So tell me a little bit about how you're feeling about Bold. Walk me through that.
I loved I loved yesterday more than I love Tuesday.
I was only on yesterday for about 20 minutes, and I agree. It's just, it's a little slowed down. They're going into a little bit more detail about the curriculum. It's really good.
I was still working, like writing notes, handwritten notes, but I was streaming it to my television so I could, hear it really good and just look up when I needed to. It was really good.
Awesome. Who wants to share the bold law they're focused on this week?
Jenny Vereen.
Hold on. Sorry, I'm pulling it up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
How are you?
Jeannie.
How are y'all?
Good.
For a second, it looked like the chandelier was like your hat or something.
Oh, no. I have many hats, Bill, many hats.
Bill, I can share the one that I like.
Go ahead.
See what?
Jenny was talking.
Oh, yeah, Jenny, you go first if you're ready.
Who, me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's the bold law you're focused on this week?
No pressure, no diamonds.
Love it. What does that mean to
Yep.
you?
I don't know. It's just the one I could remember.
I like that one for you.
I do
And
too.
my birthday is April, so it's diamond. And then my sorority was diamond. That was our little thing. And so, like, diamonds, I like diamonds.
So,
There's a theme there.
okay, and let's take a minute together to talk about how to translate that into your real estate world. So what does no pressure, no diamonds mean for you with a real estate spin?
Well, I don't like pressure, but I need it.
Well,
And
tell me more about that.
I didn't take bold for 10 years because I did, or however long it's been around, because I was so scared of it. I was so scared of it. I can remember there's a guy in our office, and I can't remember what his name is, and he had taken bold so many times, and he's so outgoing. He's just so, like, such a joyful person, and he pressured me so much to take it, and I was like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. And and I always remember having that conversation with him. And this has been probably 5 years ago. And then I would get mad at myself because I wouldn't do it. Can y'all hear me okay? I'm on my earbuds.
Yeah.
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 Was
And,
that guy's name Bill Linkwald?
No.
I was thinking, I was like, gosh, that kind of sounds like it could have been me.
No, but Bill has always put pressure on me too. And that's what I love about you, Bill, is you will put pressure on me. And you will text, call, email, hold me accountable. And that's what I need because I'm so good at squirming out of stuff. Like, I will squirm. And I tried to do it with Aubrey, and I tried to do it with Bill, where I didn't even realize I was doing it. But like on my GPS and my 411 and stuff, I would not put specifics. They're very open-ended, like, I don't know, work on my database or whatever. And so I need pressure. I can already see the fruits of it. The first time I took bold, I was scared to death, and I thought I was going to have to speak. And I sound like I'm from the woods. So, and I don't like cold calling. I don't. And so I was so glad that it was bold 2.0 because that was different from what I understand. And so bold 2.0 was great. And then this bold, it's reiterating a lot, but I'm able to apply. And I can see the accountability working. Like yesterday, I talked to Kathy, and she put a little pressure on me. And so I did it. I called all these people, and I had great conversations.
Love it.
And I can see how my business is just going to flourish. I mean, I can already see.
Right. There was a phrase that this reminds me of that was kind of a theme for a week or so, maybe a month ago, where it was a line that I read in Hold, I believe, the Gary Keller's book Hold, and it said it was actually talking about a property management business, and it said if you treat it like a hobby, it will pay you like a hobby.
Oh yeah.
Right. And on the other side, if you get intentional and purposeful about how you spend your time and what your goals are and what the activities are, it will pay you more than you could ever imagine it would pay you.
Yeah.
Right. No one to this date has ever died in the bold room from making money. It's not happened.
That is
Okay.
so funny.
No one's gone to jail. No one's died. It's all
I'm
good.
not scared of it anymore. I love it.
Oh, that makes my day.
And
Because
I'm gonna be a 10 timer. I've already decided.
Jenny, I'm gonna ask you a really pointed question.
Uh-oh.
Do you believe when you get on the telephone with somebody that do you believe that if they do business with you, they will have a successful, awesome experience?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And do you believe that if they do business with you, they're going to get like cheated and scammed and it's going to be not in their best interest?
No.
I assume that's a no, right?
No.
Okay. So you're not hurting any of these people you're calling. You're doing it for the right reasons. So the more people you call, the better it is for everybody.
Is encouraging us to just make the care calls. That takes so much pressure off me because I am such a communicator, like I do. I'm so relational that it does not come naturally to me to say, who do you know that needs to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? So it just helps so much for me to call, because what I've done on these calls yesterday is I remembered things about them. Like I'm doing first names A's. So I called Amy and I said, "Oh my gosh, your son!" I didn't know what to say, and I was thinking I was always.
She's not a rule follower, is she?
I know, but the way I did it in command is first name.
You make the calls. I'm not a rule follower either. So
you guys know that you can. You guys know that you can change those around, right? I've heard this multiple times recently.
Yes, but I tagged them all first name A.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
So anyway.
Hey, you make the calls and you put up the numbers. I got no problem.
Well, and I can kind of think through my head when I'm driving to or whatever, and I can say, oh, that's right, Allison or whatever. So I called Amy and I remembered, oh my gosh, your son's graduating. They're probably going to move. And that was like, had Bold not pressured me, had Bill not pressured me, had Kathy not pressured me to make those calls, I completely would have forgotten about that. And that was another, just a little nudge. Don't forget, I sell real estate.
And if you remember, whatever you ask them questions about, like how's work going, how's the family going, are you traveling, or how are you dealing with this stuff, they're going to ask you the same questions back. So if you don't want to lead with, let me tell you about my business and how I can help you and give me some buyers and sellers, then you ask them some questions about their work and they'll turn around and ask you about yours and it'll feel lower pressure. It reminds me of another quote that I heard that says, mediocrity is what you get when you do what you want.
Oh, Bill.
And please, I'm not suggesting that's a personal statement of yours.
I have written that down at least 10 times since you said that.
I'm not suggesting you're mediocre, but I'm suggesting if you do what you want every day, you're going to be mediocre. If you want to be better than mediocre, sorry?
I said, are you saying I'm mediocre? No, Bill, you said that the other day. You said that the other day, and I wrote it down, and I have written it down 5 or 10 times since then. Like, that's my favorite mantra thing.
Yeah. Nothing worthwhile. Everything worthwhile is uphill, and nothing goes uphill automatically. John Maxwell said that. Nothing goes uphill automatically.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's good.
I love. That's one of my favorite Bold laws. No pressure, no diamonds. Would you agree that right before you leave on vacation, you get the most work done? Because there's a pressure. There's a deadline. Right. You've got a goal. It's immovable. Right. The flight leaves at whatever time the flight leaves, and you got to get your stuff together. So pressure.
It's also Murphy's Law.
Yeah. If we all go on more vacations, we'll put more deals under contract, won't we?
I always do deals at the beach.
All right, Donna, tell me about your new Bold law.
Actually, mine was the same. No pressure, no diamonds. And I just feel like, for example, the pressure of having to call 40 or contact 40 people a day, that's making me succeed because I'm actually under pressure to do it and I don't want to fail. So I'm doing it. I'm trying my best, which I wasn't very successful yesterday because I called a lot of people that I haven't spoken to in a long time, and my calls were a lot longer than I had planned. So I didn't get 40 contacts. I tried to make it up in text, but I didn't quite make it before the end of the night.
Okay. Keep up the good work. Thank you. All right, talk to me about anyone else want to share a bold law? Mine, by the way, is if it's not in your schedule, it doesn't exist. I'm trying to be a whole lot more, I'm pretty purposeful about my schedule. I live and die by appointments, but I'm trying to get even stronger. Who else?
What you focus on expands.
Love
Oh,
it.
that's good.
Success is simple, not easy.
It's so interesting that we all pick bold laws that are just like a little personal, you know?
That's funny.
Love it. All right, I noticed something that I want to share with you guys about some of the numbers from April. Okay. What I'm seeing is we are making a lot of contacts. I mean, all these numbers could be improved. We're making a lot of contacts, and we're not making or setting or holding that many as a function of it. And so I think that's probably a result of a few things. One is that the calls are more care type calls and not like you're a FSBO and I want an appointment. And I think that's fine. I just want to encourage you to have an awareness about going just a tiny bit deeper on these conversations, right? So there may be stuff like, you know, if you might want to ask, well, yes. You may want to, well, make sure they can see it. Okay.
I see it.
That's so cute.
Oh, I'm not. Okay, excuse
What
me.
a great memory.
I need to
Say good morning.
First, I need to drink your
Um,
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
making me lose my train of thought. Oh, I know what it was. Okay, so when you're courting these people on the telephone, say, you can ask them.
I'll be back.
I cannot wait.
I'll be back at the next Zoom.
She has a copy of my calendar, I think, so she pops in on every single one that I'm leading. Ask your people, you know, do you mind if you share with me what your interest rate is? Right, now's a great time to potentially refinance, right? Hey, there's a lot of information and misinformation out there about real estate, and I just want to remind you, if you have any questions about anything, just let me know. I'd love an opportunity to help, right? Like push. I'm not saying push for an appointment when there's not one that exists, but just push a tiny bit, right? You know, offer your app. Make sure that every day, I don't know if you guys are still doing this. We actually haven't done it in a while in this room, but they've been posting it a lot on social media, the daily activities from FMLS. I kind of think that the numbers for the 3-day, I think, are the most telling. One day, the 24 hours number is too low. It doesn't feel meaningful enough. And when you do 7 days, it almost feels too long, and the numbers are almost too big. You see what I'm saying? So like if you're looking at 3 days, I'll give you these numbers real fast. In the last 3 days, there's been 1,159 new listings on FMLS. Okay, there has been 723 homes that have gone under contract, and that's probably on the low side because of the way that some agents do the pendings. But I would say 723 homes have gone under contract, and 983 properties have closed. Would it surprise you to know that in the last 3 days, Kathy, 983 properties have closed? People are looking at homes every day, and we just have to adjust. And I've definitely adjusted. We can show homes and keep all the safety standards intact. And I just want to let you know, real estate's happening. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'm here to help you, right? And then naturally, they're going to connect you. That's going to be top of mind, just like some of these quotes have been top of mind for us in the last few days. And next thing you know, they're going to say, oh, you know, my neighbor Steve, he is moving to Charlotte. Maybe you want to talk to him. Boom. I mean, that could be a $10, $12, $15,000 commission, guys. Right?
I have a question, Bill.
Yeah.
Are people are still able to refinance? Because I do have some folks that wanted to have that conversation. And so is Kathy doing that?
I suspect she is. I mean, every case is different, right?
I am doing it. Yeah.
Every case is different, but
Kathy Vitale. Sorry.
Yeah. Are you talking to people about it?
I mean, I know Aubrey just refinanced last week. I mean, these are happening for sure.
Okay, and it's a good time to do that.
Oh, interest rates are at like record lows right now.
I didn't know if it had changed in the past week or if anything, because I hadn't had that conversation with Kathy Vitale or anybody. Okay.
Here's the thing. I know this kind of sounds strange, but whether they refinance or not is not the point.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Right.
The point is that you introduce them to a possible alternative way to thinking about their financial world, and you connected them with an expert that can help them make a strategic decision. Whether they decide to do it or not, it's up to them, right? But, you know, if somebody's got a 5% or higher interest rate or 4.5% or higher interest rate, by all means, they should be refinancing now. You know, you could roll the costs into the mortgage and still save money. You see what I'm saying? So don't, it's not up to you to determine, you can't determine over the course of a 2-minute phone call if it's strategic or not for them. All you can do is say, hey, it's probably worth 15 minutes of your time to speak to an expert. Can I connect you with the expert?
Well, and that was the reason I hadn't called somebody that I knew had kind of asked me about it a few months ago. I thought that the lenders had kind of held off on refis for a little while.
No, so some of the lenders are holding off on equity lines.
Okay.
But that's a little bit different. So let's say, for example, you have a home that's worth $350 and you owe $200 on it, and you have a $100,000 equity line. They're shrinking the equity lines, or they might be calling some of that money due, or they're not issuing any more HELOCs. That's totally different discussion, though. So HELOCs is basically based on the home equity line of credit, is based on the amount of equity that the bank determined that you had at some point in the past. And
I didn't realize they could call it due.
There's crazy stuff written in some of these things. I mean, don't go putting out there, hey, your home equity lines can be called due.
No, I would not. But I just didn't know that could happen. They could reduce it or call it due.
Oh, they could definitely reduce it. Definitely reduce it. Right. They say, hey, our automatic, algorithm thing says your home is worth, instead of being worth $350, it's worth $310 now. So we're not going to let you borrow on equity that we now don't believe exists.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So it's a really good time to talk strategy with your people. And also, don't forget, we are in a part of the #1 training organization in the world. It's not just for real estate stuff. It's not just how to sell a home. This is about how to run a budget. This is about how to hire. This is about how to organize and systematize. And a lot of the lessons that you're going to learn in Bold, and that we're learning in here, and that we learn at KW in general, about cutting expenses and a lot of the stuff you read about in the Shift book, anybody that you know that runs a business could benefit from those concepts. Right? So who's to say you can't say, okay, for the next 12 weeks, I'm going to run a 10-minute Facebook Live book review on Tactic 1 from Shift. Next week, Tactic 2 from Shift, right? And invite all your business owner friends. Because do you think they could benefit from Get Real, Get Right, expense management, marketing adjustments, marketing messages? I think so. I mean, staging a home a little different, but that's just another way of saying branding. Right? All right, guys. I will leave the room open for all those that would like to begin their calls and begin their lead gen. I'm going to ask you to do a couple things. Please state your goals on the May sheet. Please stay active and encourage us as you're having successes throughout the day. And we have a big group session today at, okay, the launch mastermind is at 12. So if you're 0 to 3 units, we'll have a mastermind talking about things that are most relevant to you at 12, and the big group session will be at 1, and then we'll be in the bold room all together. So I'll see you soon. And